Hey everybody, affiliate family, what's up? We've got Brian here with us. Thank you so much, Brian, for being willing to jump on the call here today. Being willing to jump in our group and share some of your expertise with us, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Alexander. Appreciate you having me here. Looking forward to the call today, and just happy to help any way that I possibly can. So real cool to be here. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you doing that, man. Like I said, you were one of the first people that I came across in affiliate marketing. Um, Actually, dude, and one of the first people I came across in terms of affiliate marketing. And so, it's great to have you on, man. I think we all at some point did the search YouTube and try to find videos and things like that for it. So you were one of the first guys I came across, and what really resonated with me, man, was just how like not that you weren't polished, but that it was just you were just being you, right? And it was very evident that you were just like you were like one of my buddies that I would be hanging out with, and you were just spitting knowledge on YouTube and stuff like that. Versus you see a lot of the overdone, I guess, over polished sort of stuff. And so what has kind of compelled you to present yourself to the world in that manner?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, you do see a lot of that overproduced, overpolished stuff out there, and that can work as well. I think it's always important to start off with saying, hey, there's no right or wrong way to do this thing. Just go out there and do it. If you want to be in a broadcast studio and that's the only way you feel comfortable, cool, do it. But going back, I started the same way you did. You go into Google back in 2012, like how to make $100 a day. You know what I mean? That was before there was really, I didn't watch YouTube back then, but you Googled it. And anyway, 2016 is when I really started putting myself out there. I'd been doing affiliate marketing for 4 years at that point. And I was like, okay, time to build the brand, time to start playing big. Let's do the YouTube thing and what have you. And you mentioned that, I come across as kind of like your buddy, like we're sitting in a pub chatting about strategy or whatever. And I get that a lot. And there's a couple of reasons. First and foremost, it's kind of what I wanted to do. I got into this whole affiliate marketing thing to do what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? I was a restaurant manager before I was able to quit my job in 2016. I worked in the restaurant business and waited tables for 12 years. So in that environment, you're always on, right? You're playing a character. You're playing a character that the guests want to see. And that's part of the deal. And I really enjoyed that. But after 12 years of being in that business, I was kind of burnt out. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. And so that was part A of it. It's like, cool, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go on here and just start doing it. B, I wasn't very practiced when I started. I just kind of started doing it. So like what comes across is like authentic and genuine. It's just like, I just wasn't very good at it. So that's kind of part of the deal as well. And finally C, hindsight's kind of 2020. And as it's been years, 4 years since I've been on YouTube now. And just kind of in the public in general, Facebook lives and all that stuff. And really what I learned is if you want to have, any sort of longevity, you just better stay true to who you are, because there's no way you can keep up an act for years and years and years. Plus, that's kind of the way the algorithms, if you will, work on Facebook and on YouTube. YouTube's number one goal is to find or to match viewers with videos they're most likely to watch and enjoy. There's no guy sitting behind the desk at YouTube saying, hey, this is the best video on affiliate marketing. It shows people what they want to see. So by default, if I just be myself, then YouTube's going to find my ideal customer for me. They're going to find people who resonate with my style for me. And then I can just be myself. So it's kind of like the tail wagging the dog at that point. But
Yeah.
I mean, for all those reasons, it's kind of working for me, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And so that's kind of my thing too. And I just got my kind of entrepreneurial start as a personal trainer. And it was always fascinating to me. And it was, I worked at a downtown gym in downtown San Francisco. It was like, we had like 7,000 members at this gym, and it's San Francisco. So the space is super small. Right. And it was amazing how many people would like transition into this different person when they would step out to be in front of their clients and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, that's got to be exhausting. Like, it's already tiring enough being in personal training. We're up or super early in the morning. We're working super late at night. We're always on our feet. And then now you got to like be this character kind of as you referenced it. So that's cool, man. I really appreciate you sharing that. Let's just maybe take a step back. I know you alluded to working in the service industry. I know that that's a tough job, because you like you said, you're there to create an experience, an environment for people. Particularly being a manager, you're kind of setting the tone for the culture and stuff like that. If you would just like kind of share a little bit of your background and kind of in particular your motivations that drove you into getting into affiliate marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So to go back, I went to Michigan State University and, did the 4-year degree in 5 years type plan. And, just really never didn't have a great sense of what I wanted to do after that. Food industry management, graduated in 2003, just for time reference and to date myself. So I went to the restaurant business. I always was I enjoyed going to restaurants, and I always thought maybe someday I'd like to open one. So maybe I had that, entrepreneurship bug in my head even back then, even though I was never the guy who was flipping sneakers or selling lemonade or anything like that in high school. But I think maybe the bug was back there, and then, as I went through the journey of managing different restaurants, most of them that I worked in were owner operated. So I really got to see the behind the scenes, what entrepreneurship was really all about, what that meant to the community, what that meant to the family, and all that good stuff. So I was pretty happy in the business. And then in 2012, my wife and I had our first child, our daughter. So that's kind of when everything flipped. And it was almost 4 months after she was born. I still remember the day. It was 2 days after my wife's birthday. So it was October 12th of 2012. I was like, I got to do something. This is cool. That, the restaurant business is great. But I want to be there for the dance recitals and in the horse riding lessons or softball games or whatever it ends up being. You know what I mean? The birthday parties. And really with the restaurant business, it's just not feasible. You're away nights, you're away on weekends, you're missing out. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, man, I can't wait. Like, I know she's 4 months old right now, but it's going to take me some time to get this thing up and running. So I got to start now. So that's what I did. And I did the YouTube search, or the Google search, like how to make $100 a day online. Because at that point, I was 32 years old. I had a college degree, but I had no experience. So what else was I going to do? It was kind of like, what else am I going to do? I got to go make this happen for myself. No one's going to give me $100,000 a year job. If I do go back into the corporate world, I'm going to have to start at square one and make $33,000 a year. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. And at that point I was making 60, 70 grand a year in the restaurant business. So I was like, I'm stuck. It was my only option, but I knew, like, cool. If we do this right, if we learn the skills and we commit to this and just work as much as I can, when I can, eventually it will all work out. And, it took me probably longer than most, not to necessarily start making money, but to get to the point where I could go full time. But that was my story, and it was because of my circumstances. But here we are today.
No, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that. I know for me and for a lot of folks, the family is a huge, huge motivator. I'm not blessed to have a wife or children. For me, it was a pivotal moment for me. My brother, who lives in Katy, actually, my oldest nephew, who, I've kind of been a rugby guy. My oldest nephew has kind of latched onto the sport, and he's kind of really looked up to me. He's always called me to come and ask to like come do his tournaments and go and coach him and stuff like that. He had called me, had begged me, for like a while. And I finally just had to tell him, man, I can't come down. I've got work. I've got, everything. I hung up the phone. My brother even was like, dude, if it's money thing, just tell me, I'll pay for your flight and everything. And I was like, dude, I just legitimately can't do it. And I was just so frustrated. And it kind of was like the straw that broke, because I had already been feeling like I've been missing their lives. And I just broke down after I got off the phone with my brother. And I just, in that moment, told myself, I am not missing anymore. I'm not going to be an absentee uncle anymore. And that was where I started my search online. So no, that's a huge motivator, man. And so, okay, let's talk a little bit about maybe some key inflection points. And so I know you mentioned about like building up to the decision for you to finally like, hey, I'm ready to go all in with this. So when you were approaching that time, what were kind of some of the key indicators that you used to say, hey, now is the time?
Yeah. So up until like I mentioned, 2016 was when I was finally able to go full time, go all in, quit the job. So prior to that, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, cool, I got an hour a day I can set aside. And that's when I worked on learning the affiliate marketing business. So I guess an inflection point number one for me was when I just kind of, just committed to, hey, I'm not going to spam links. I'm not going to do all that, crap. I'm just going to learn skills and build stuff of value. So that's kind of how I started. I build product review blogs. That's what I would do. So, and then monetize them with Amazon Associates and other affiliate programs as well. But I would just SEO, backlink, building backlinks on page SEO, and just rank these blogs and get organic traffic. And it allowed me to scale up my income without working outside of that hour a day that I had. Right. Because a lot of from my understanding, like what you do now and what I do now, we kind of have to be there. We have to be available, right? Whereas that wasn't a reality. So I had to do what would work based on my reality. Well, luckily enough, that turned out to be a good decision, because even though these blogs, they never really amounted to much. I think the most I really ever hit was like maybe 3,500 a month, right? You know what I mean? And that was fairly consistent, but I'd have months where it would drop down. And really, that with a family of 4 now at this point, that just wasn't feasible, that I was going to quit my job on that. And plus, you never know when you're going to get a Google slap. So I couldn't risk it. So a couple of things happened. I kind of knew like in my heart, like, okay, I kind of got this thing figured out. If I go on YouTube, if I put my face out there, if I do this full time, like, I think I can do it. Plus, I sold the blogs that I had. And because I had spent the time building up value, luckily, one of the product review blogs that I had, there was a gentleman who owned an e-commerce store that matched the product review blog. So what he wanted to buy the blog and then just flip all the links from going over to Amazon, flip all the links going to his e-commerce store. So there was some inherent value in this blog from him. It was getting about, I think, 600 to 800 organic search results a day. So I put it on Flippa, which is kind of the auction website, and that's how he found it. And there was a couple people bidding on it, both in the same situation. And I was lucky enough to make right around $30,000 from selling that one blog. So that was kind of the point where it's like, cool, I'm all in. Right. So and that's when that was like, I'm doing this the right way. Before, I had kind of been scared, I guess, to put myself out there. So all the blogs were either anonymous or under pseudonyms. And I was like, forget it. This is legit. Let's build for the long term. And I put the Brian Brewer face out there and started going to work. So that was kind of a big turning point for me. What afforded me the opportunity. It wasn't just because I just said, hey, here's one big win. It was because of what I did for the couple of years prior that really set myself up.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And it's about, it's kind of like money now, money later type activities. And it's awesome that blog paid off for you. When you got that like cash windfall internally, what did that really do for you?
I mean, everybody's story is different, but for me, I mean, that was the most money I've ever had in my bank account at one time. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, prior to that, I think, whatever I saved to buy my wife's engagement ring, which however long that took me, right? Like, so that took me X amount of months or years or whatever. And then finally, like when I spent that money on that engagement ring, then I was back to zero basically. So it's kind of like, wow, this is crazy. So, really, I think the most important thing that did, other than give me the confidence to quit my job and go full time, which was huge. When you can devote 8 or 9 hours a day to something, things happen a lot faster. If that's not your situation, if you're watching this and you're like, I don't have that time, that's just the way it is. You'll get there eventually. But when you can devote that full time effort to it, things start to happen. But more importantly, I think what it did is it gave me a cushion where I could think long term. It's like, okay, I don't need to make any money today. I don't need to make any money tomorrow. If I do, that's cool. but let's focus on building something long-term. So I'm making 10 grand a month in 6 months, or, you know what I mean? And that long-term thinking. And I know it's so difficult when you're like struggling with bills, or you can't pay your rent, or you just hate your job and you want out, or you want to buy a boat, or you want to buy a car, or whatever your story is, whatever is pushing you to make money online, or start a side hustle, or become an affiliate marketer. I get that it can be hard to think long term, because you just want that money now. But like you said, money now, money later. Yeah, it's good to have a little bit of both. But yeah, I'm not one of those people who says you have to put out off monetization forever. But if you think long term, generally you get to that higher tier a lot faster. You know, I always say, don't be the guy who's trying to get rich quick for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I would say that delayed gratification is almost essential to have success. And you know, that was kind of something I did when I set for myself. I always kind of set what I'll think of like a dream goal, a stretch goal, and then a realistic goal, which a realistic goal is, you know, still somewhat of a stretch, so to speak. And I think having that mix of, hey, there's this delayed gratification, because even if I miss my dream goal and my stretch goal, I'll still be super satisfied, because I'll achieve my realistic goal, and it'll be better than the reality that I currently have. But also, it's like, so you have that delayed gratification, but you work as if you do all the things you need to do to hit your dream goal. So that gives you the ability to accelerate that timeline, I feel like.
That's really cool that you said that. If I could just kind of touch on that, because that really kind of resonated with me when you said, you know, even if you don't hit your dream goal, you'll still be better off than where you are right now. Like, everyone's like, man, I want to make $1 million a month in 6 months, or whatever, you know, just exaggerating for effect. But guess what? If I don't hit my $1 million a month in 6 months, and I'm only making $1,000 a month, still better off than where I am today.
Yeah, no, exactly, dude.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, and that would kind of is, to me, I've just found I've obviously, being an athlete and coach, have done a ton of goal setting, and I found that is a thing. The other thing too, I feel like in society now, people, when they set goals in their mind, if they don't have like that tier and categories, like their goals are just like their vivid, wildest dreams. And there's not a lot of reality. There's not a lot of delayed gratification and like self-discipline that goes into them. You know, particularly on, you know, I think we're fortunate that we didn't grow up as younger folks. Like, I think when we were in college, it was like Napster was the cool thing, you know, and like MP3s. So there wasn't social media. And
yeah, it was amazing. We got into the dorms and we had high-speed internet for the first time. It's like, dude, I'm downloading 10,000 songs today.
Yeah.
And I mean, just for the fact that nobody had camera phones alone is why I'm thankful for my college years, because there would be some bad pictures going around the internet.
All the dumb stuff we did would be much more documented than just tall tales and stories with your buddies.
Yeah.
But no, and because I see it gives all this, and you know, and I see it particularly now with my younger niece and nephews. It's like how much this like social media has an effect on their mentality, and I think it adds to that like instant gratification kind of thing. So no, I think that that's a like an essential thing to achieve anything of substance in life. And also too, that you alluded to it, like if you need to pay your bills now, like investing into a program is probably not the best. You shouldn't be doing that. Like,
right.
You should not, and because it's, you know, desperate people do desperate things, and like you said, you'll sacrifice long-term success to get out of your current situation. And I think that when people do that and they don't come into this, they're so focused on their current pain of their situation that they rush into things, they make mistakes, and they don't set themselves up to like lay a platform and like develop the skills and things like that you kind of alluded to.
Yeah. And I always say, you know, just to kind of touch on that point, I always say money only accelerates the results. So if you're kind of in a bad place or a negative place, or you don't have your funnel set up or whatever, and you just start throwing money at the problem, you're just going to fail faster. But if you're in a good place, you're in the right mentality, you have the optimized funnel, whatever the situation, you start throwing money in it, guess what? It's going to scale up faster. And that's it. Money just accelerates the results. Yeah,
no, that's for sure. And so let's talk about maybe some of kind of since you started to go online. I know we mentioned we were doing the SEO and the backlink, which I just learned what a backlink was like a couple of weeks ago. And so let's talk about kind of maybe some of the different phases that your business has kind of developed and what led you to adapt and kind of pivot.
Yeah, so I've had, you do this long enough and you go through a couple of different, adaptations of yourself, I guess. So, it started for me with the blogging and SEO, as we mentioned. It was just like, hey, this is a side hustle, right? This is a way to generate some income online, and that was it. And that was it for years. You know what I mean? And I was happy with that. So, for example, kind of like, I started in 2012, let's say like end of 2013, early 2014, it was kind of like, cool, I'm making an extra $2 to $3 grand a month. Toss that in with my, whatever I was making work in the restaurant. I was like, hey man, this is pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, this is $100 grand a year, like I'm happy with this. So at that point, it wasn't like I'm reinvesting back into my education, or I'm reinvesting back into software, or I'm developing. I was just kind of like taking that money and spending it. Now, I reinvested some, autoresponders and building email lists and, a little bit, but for the most part, like that was kind of my deal. Like I was happy. And then it was like, all right, let's turn this into a real thing. And, we talked about that a little bit. So when I first kind of went on to YouTube in 2016, I was, it was kind of a weird thing, because one thing I didn't mention is that one of those product review blogs, what I did is, before I sold them all, I talked about the big one, but before I sold them all, I turned one from a product review site into a drop shipping site. So I took my traffic, and instead of forwarding it over to Amazon, I created a drop shipping store that had the products that were on the site, and I drop ship my own stuff. So just kind of my views on that now. I mean, that was just a total mistake. Like the headaches that come along, like my margins increased, right? So instead of making, 5%, I was making, $40 on $100 order. So 40%, but it was like, man, my conversions went way down, instead of, converting at 10 or 12%, forwarding people to Amazon with trust. Now I'm getting like 1.5% at best on my drop shipping store. So that's like, okay, well, I'm pretty much at net zero at that point. Plus I got to deal with shipping and customer service. I was like, no way, I'm out. But it was that time where everyone was talking Shopify, everyone was talking drop shipping. It was kind of bursting onto the scene, really. If you've ever been involved with that, there's basically only a few people talking about drop shipping in that time. It was the Dan De Silvas and he's either from Australia or New Zealand, Frank something. I don't remember his name, but anyways, there wasn't a whole lot of people talking about it. And I knew the e-commerce thing. I knew the Shopify side of it. So I did a little case study where I ran cold traffic ads to sell stuff that I imported from AliExpress, just like everyone was talking about, and it worked. So basically I transitioned that case study into my next business. Mm-hmm. And kind of the point I'm getting at is, I saw everybody was selling, or, the couple people in the space were trying to sell drop shipping courses. So what I did is I just created a free tutorial, and I just was like, here's 2 hours. I'm going to show you how to set up your Shopify store, how to import products, how to run your first Facebook ad. And here, look, it worked for me. Now I cut my ads off because I didn't want to deal with the customer service and the shipping issues anymore. But I was like, here, if you want to do it, great. This is how you do it. And I just gave that thing away. Free course. So first of all, my YouTube channel just exploded, right? Because everyone's like, dude, this guy's giving all the information away for free. So my brand just grew huge. Also, because Shopify has an affiliate program, everybody who came through my free course, by default, they were always going to come through my free course first before they bought somebody else's course. So I was going to be the one to get the Shopify commission, because they're going to open up their store first, and then they might buy somebody else's course after they have their store open. But guess what? I got the Shopify commission. So just in front end Shopify commissions alone, I mean, I've made well over $200,000. But the thing is I built this huge email list, and it was like, I had this brand, I had this business, I was promoting other relevant offers, and things got really good. So then a couple of things happened. The first thing that kind of happened was I decided, hey, let's throw another monetization strategy in here. So instead of just focusing 100% on affiliate marketing, I started creating courses and stuff like that. And we can talk more about that maybe later if you want or not, if we don't want to, but that was a lot of money up front, but I think it ultimately ended up hurting the brand, and it wasn't in line with what I really wanted to do. And then so as time went on, we're looking at 2018, 2019, I started like figuring, okay, what do I really want to do? You know, I don't really like this whole e-commerce thing anymore. This whole drop shipping scene has become just a freaking circus. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to be associated with it. So I started, just closing all my, e-commerce stuff down, started pulling YouTube videos down, and just really started getting back to thinking like, okay, I'm going to focus on coaching, training. I like teaching, and basically teaching marketing and brand building. And, and then eventually it kind of transformed into 2020, where now I'm kind of all back in on affiliate marketing and just really doing what I love. And that's helping people, building the brand, providing value for free, and recommending good products that can change people's lives. So that's kind of all over the place, but that's kind of my story. Like what the things I went through mentally, and the successes and the troubles and all that. So we can talk about anything in more detail or not, depending on what you heard or what you picked up.
No. And so I think there's a couple things there. And so I think, the one thing, again, it's so a common theme that I'm hearing from you is that you're willing to the delayed gratification thing, right? And that you're willing to put out assets and add value out into the marketplace, knowing that you won't be able to like reap what you've planted, what you've sowed, and down the line. But so I think that a lot of mistake that people do is they just rush into stuff, and that they don't do any strategic thinking before they start taking action. I'm kind of really like anti this whole imperfect action thing, because I think that, yes, you need to, I think the general sentiment is like, don't let your perfectionism and get out of your own way and just do stuff. But I also think that people take it the wrong way, and that they just go start doing stuff without doing any thinking beforehand. And so is that kind of, you basically saw like, hey, here's where I want to be, and doing some deductive reasoning and working backwards from the end goal and be like, okay, these are the strategic steps I need to take to get there. Is that kind of how it went?
Yeah. Definitely you got to find some sort of balance. I wish I could say that I'm a genius and I figured it all out from the start and was like, yep, here's what I'm going to do. And it worked. But what I can tell you is the first time I got kind of lucky with the timing and giving away the free value. It was one of those things where it was kind of like, I just don't really want to be that guy pushing the course, at the time. Not that courses are bad. I've taken them. I still take them to this day. I just bought one not too long ago. But I just didn't want to be that guy at that point in my life. So that's why I was like, forget it. I'll just give the stuff away for free. And then I just saw how well that worked, right? Leading with the value and just to kind of give like numbers, because they're fun. It was like I started that in late 2016, and I started giving away all this stuff, and my YouTube channel went from 0, and I hit 1,000 subscribers on Christmas, and then by like March I was at 10,000, and by like November of the next year, 2017, so about a year out, I was making over $50,000 a month just in affiliate marketing commissions. So I was like, man, this stuff just works. And then I got away from it because I'm listening to all those people who tell you, hey, you need a course, and like I said, I'm not anti courses, but you got to have the right intentions with them. And not that I was trying to money grab, but it's like, so I started doing all these different things basically. And basically the instant gratification, like, cool, hey, I got this huge list of 30,000, 50,000 people, whatever it is, on my email list. If I launch a course for $297 and 10% buy, and you start doing the math, right? Yeah. It's like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? And I put all my effort into it. I did the best course that I possibly could, but my mindset was that instant gratification. And like I said, and I alluded to earlier, it starts chipping away at the brand equity. And so to kind of answer your immediate or your most recent question, now I know. Now I'm proving to myself again, as I'm in 2020, all my courses are closed. I just help people for free. I'm adding value, thinking long-term, like I'm here to make money. Don't get me wrong, but I know like this will work. It's been proven, and I know it's better than the alternative.
Cool. Yeah. And so I would say, I think that that's what you shared is a pretty common thing, man. And not just the counting your money before you make it thing that you shared, but also that once you have the success, you start to like feel yourself a little bit too much, and then you allow it. So it's like you hit a level of success, and then the shiny objects just change, and then you can allow yourself to like get pulled off course. Is that kind of what you felt like for?
Yeah,
like
well, you start
some of your momentum.
For me, what it was is you start to think that people are hanging on your every word. Like they're telling you you're a genius. They're like, I'm a genius. You know what I mean? And so you think that everything you're going to put out and everything you're going to do is just turn into gold. But when it doesn't necessarily, what you realize is like, oh, people just want what benefits them.
Yeah.
And if you give them what they want and what benefits them, then they're going to be like, man, this guy's awesome. And if you just continue to do, or this girl or whatever, but if you just continue to do that, then things are going to be okay. But the moment you start to think, man, whatever I do, people are just going to follow me. And, then it's just like, no, people don't care about you. I don't care. I'd seen pretty decent success. People don't care about me. I mean, some do and stuff like that. But for the most part, people care about themselves and what, how you can help them. And that's fair.
The what's in it for me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Did you sell the course before you made it?
The first one, no, I didn't. So that's interesting. Here's some little insight I got into creating courses, and I'll just keep it real brief because I know that's not really the topic here, but it is pretty interesting. So the first course I created was just like a knowledge dump. Basically, like, here's how you do email marketing. Here's how you grow a list. Here's how you get value out of email marketing. And it was great. It was great information. It's what made me a lot of money, but it was not focused. It wasn't results driven. It was just like, here's a knowledge dump. It was basically, hey, go search a bunch of crap on YouTube. So it was good information, but it wasn't impactful necessarily because it was so scattered. So what I did is going forward, anytime I created a course, and I've created 3 or 4 courses, and a lot of them have been very well received by a lot of people. But what I started doing is I would take my existing list, whether that's an email list or a Facebook group or your audience or just friends on Facebook, and be like, okay, cool. I want to help 3 people achieve this goal. It's going to be $2,000. We're going to work together for 60 days. Right. And what was interesting is working through with those people one-on-one. That's kind of how I outlined the framework for the eventual course that I was going to create. And what I realized, and the reason this is important, is because the initial result that I thought I was going to bring people was not the actual result that people were most satisfied with. So to give you an example, I thought I was going to teach people how to build a YouTube channel. But really what the 3 folks that I worked with were most satisfied with was the clarity they received at actually building a brand and the value of it. So then I could just reframe the course as not grow a YouTube channel, but how do you build a brand? And that was probably my most impactful course to this date. So that's kind of a little insight. If you're ever thinking about creating a course, I think that's a good way to do it.
I always say that the art of great coaching is giving people what they need, but making them think it's what they want. So, as a personal trainer, I had to do that a lot. Yeah. That's cool, man. And so in terms of like now, let's talk about 2020. I know that you kind of early this year, you did a little bit of the group coaching thing. I know you also talked about that. You at least alluded to earlier that you only promote products that you feel good about. That's kind of something that I was always big on. It's like, hey, I'm going to vet this thing first. And I'm also going to only promote it if I really genuinely feel like it can genuinely help folks and solve their problems. So how do you go about kind of doing your own personal vetting before you go and promote stuff to your audience?
Absolutely. So I'm a firm believer in just buying into whatever you're going to promote. Yeah. It helps a number of different ways. First, you can vet it, as you said. Hey, is this good? Is it bad? You know what I mean? And that really helps, secure the brand equity. But if it's something I'm using that's working out great. For instance, in 2019, I switched over to from WordPress to ClickFunnels. And I know there's no perfect, I'm not here to say ClickFunnels is perfect, just like WordPress isn't perfect, just like Kajabi isn't perfect, just nothing's perfect. But I found something that worked for me, and I was really happy with the features and benefits that ClickFunnels provided me. So I started promoting ClickFunnels. So that's one way I find products to promote. The other thing I do is, for instance, right now, I'm pretty big on Legendary Marketer as far as promoting that. So that is kind of like I use basically like a 3-point system to find that product to promote. And I'll share that really quickly because I think so many times, I think beginning affiliate marketers and they hear that the first thing they need to do is choose a niche. And I'm not saying that's bad information, but to me, I'm more like choose an arena. Okay. Do you want to be in the health? Do you want to be in the relationships / love, or do you want to be in the wealth? Right? Like those are the 3 big evergreen niches that we always hear about. So I call those arenas. Decide which arena you want to be in. Okay. And if you're watching this video right now, you probably want to make money online. You're probably interested in making some money. So why not just go in that arena? Even if you're a beginner, the second you make your first dollar online, you become your own social proof. So just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off. Enter the wealth niche, right? Or the affiliate marketing niche. So anyways, decide that first. And then what I like to do is I like to, obviously I'm in the wealth niche or the money niche or whatever you want to call it. And what I like to do is I like to look in the market and I like to see where there's buzz around a product. That's the first thing I like to do, because when there's that buzz in the market, when a bunch of people are promoting the same thing, there's a bunch of people talking about the same thing, that can look like saturation. But really what that is that's the market, right? The potential customers, the potential consumers. That's them being educated at scale, right? So like if I introduce you to a product you've never heard of, I got to tell you all these things. I got to overcome all these objections. I got to show you all this social proof. But if everybody's doing that, it's like, cool, my job's almost all done because you already know about this product. I just got to make sure you buy through me. So that's the first thing I do. I look for that buzz. And then the next thing I do is I make sure that someone pretty big in the market is promoting it, because if they're trusting their brand equity and their audience to this product, then like, cool, that's a good place. That's a good sign, right? And then the third thing I do is I make sure beginners are getting results with the product. Okay, cool. This guy is new. He's only been at it 30 days. He's already seen success with it. So if it hits those three criteria, then I'm like, cool, let's buy into it. And once again, I think it's always good so you can vet it, but also when you buy into it, then you learn the product. And it's, I always say, it's like, imagine if you went to go buy a new Mercedes or whatever, and you went to the dealership and you're like, so how many seats does this one have? The guy looks at you and says, I don't know. Would you buy the car from him? Of course you wouldn't. But the other thing it does is it allows you to get a unique angle on it. Like when you really know the product, when you have intimate knowledge of the product you're promoting, maybe you can sell it a little bit differently. And maybe that's just the angle that people need to buy. And that's extremely powerful. It happened with me. Just a quick story in 2019. Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, who are huge names in the space, they were launching for the first time the Knowledge Business Blueprint. And I didn't know anything about this launch, but I started getting all these emails about it. And I was like, whoa, something's going on here. I want to promote this thing. And I reached out to them and I realized the launch was happening in like 3 days. So the first thing I did is like, here's $2,000. I want to buy this product. And I started just for like 14 hours for the next 2 days, just diving through this. And I found a unique angle that nobody was talking about. And I sold it from that unique angle. And even though I only had like a day and a half to prepare, and it was not a good fit for my built-in audience, I still posted a couple YouTube videos with this unique angle, and they ranked really well. And that $2,000 turned into $32,000 in a matter of 14 days. So just for those reasons, I mean, that's how I choose them. And that's why I buy in when I'm going to promote something. And you have to feel good about it because it comes through.
It does. Yeah.
If you don't feel good about it, you're not going to sell it. And the thing is you don't need to promote 35 different products. You can have a very good business promoting one and then the related products around it. So if I promote Legendary Marketer, I can also tack on a little bit of ClickFunnels, a little bit of Aweber, and we have ourselves a pretty good business. So,
yeah, I think that's huge in terms of having congruent offers. And then also too, just, like, man, and, when I first came into it, it was, made friends with some people, or at least I thought we were being friendly with each other, and then realized it's like, hey, every time I talk to these people, they're trying to pitch me, and they're also pitching me something new every week. So it's like, one, I don't really want to talk to them anymore. And
Right.
then two, it's like, okay, well, obviously whatever they're promoting isn't that great because they keep jumping ship like every week kind of thing.
Right. And there's a few big names who do that, but you got to remember they're doing massive volume.
Yeah.
And it's just not they're, and they've perfected it, but it's not a good business for most folks, I don't think.
Yeah, I would say for beginners too, and also too, as a beginner, your overhead is going to be like your investment is going to keep rising. And so again, the theme of just like a little bit of strategic thinking, because again, with the hey, I'm going to find my angle with the KBB product, and also too that it's like better to be different than it is to be better. And so you obviously found your unique way to be able to 16x your investment in a very short span of time, particularly being behind the 8-ball a little bit, because I'm sure with Dean and Russell and Tony promoting that it was like everybody that was anybody as an affiliate had been probably bombarding all social media channels.
It had the Eben Pagans, it had all the big boys behind there. What's his name? Is it Billy Dean? I don't know. Anyway, it's not important, but I had all the big names behind it.
Yeah.
So I was happy with a quick little turnaround, but it's important to buy in.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think too, so it sounds like, you went in and go in, you learn the system so you can speak to it intimately, you know it well, you know what it is and what it isn't. And also too, the thing that you do, I think that gives you the angles to come from. And so I'm big on, so I think we are the way that we do affiliate marketing is a little bit different, and we'll get into that here in a second. But for us, it's a lot of like kind of one-to-one selling, starting to slowly transition now as being, course creators and stuff like that into the one-to-many thing. But really, the way that I look at it is you've got to understand that person's love language. So whenever anyone asks me what the number one book they should do to read sales, I say read the 5 love languages. And because I think it gives you a huge amount of self-awareness and understanding of yourself in intimate relationships. If you can get intimate relationships right in your life, you can get any damn thing in your life right. But also too, if you're able to think about it in the sales context, it means most people when they're selling, they hit everybody with all 10 benefits of it, rather than listen to what the person's like pain point is, what they're struggling with, what their emotional trigger is, and then highlighting that for that specific person. So it sounds like that's kind of what you did in terms of the different angle that you found for the KBB. Is that kind of generally congruent?
Yeah, I mean, so for the KBB, it was kind of more like I attracted people who might be interested in a certain thing because we're using YouTube search. But to give the best way to put it is I think like when you talk about really feeling what people want, when you're talking about angles, I guess is the best way to say it. Really what that is that's kind of like overcoming objections.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it, in an automated way, with follow-up sequences, then you're sending emails that are selling the same product, but basically you're coming at it from different angles to overcome different objections, and you're just kind of waiting for the person to stumble across the one that resonates with them. But when you talk about one-to-one selling, because I do a little bit of both. Obviously, the front end's automated, but people reach out to me. I have the Facebook group and stuff like that. It's amazing, like one email, just the fact that you listen and sent the right response. One email can close $1,000 commission. I mean, it's just incredible. It not always, but it just it really validates what you're saying as if you just kind of listen to people and give them, you're the expert on this, but if you kind of give them what they need to feel confident maybe in themselves, and just to let them know that you understand them, it's really powerful.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And so, I think the one thing that I think a lot of sales training gets overemphasized is the whole objection overcoming. Prevention is the best medicine. If you understand the market, you understand the product, you know who your target customer is, I always tell people, you are your target customer. Like you a couple months ago, generally, or maybe even still now, if you're that new, you are your ideal customer. What were the things that led you to make this buying decision? And what hesitations did you have about it? And then proactively address those objections, especially the key ones, like in your messaging. So whether it's in your like email marketing, in your YouTube videos, or in your sales conversations.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because, like when we're talking about automated emails, you mentioned that overcoming objections are overrated, and then that makes, or overemphasized, I guess is what you said, and that makes perfect sense because when we're talking about email marketing and automated emails, we're not listening to objections. So what we're trying to do is enter the conversation that's already going on inside their head to, like you said, preemptively like squash it and be like, well, this person gets me. And I think that's kind of the automated way to look at it. If you agree.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think so too, because that's right. That's the benefit of having a human conversation with somebody. You're getting real-time feedback,
Right.
and everything. And that's why, when I first came in, I was very, and still am, and like very quick just to push people to calls. Because one, I'm comfortable with it, but also two, Messenger can be a complete mess. You know what I mean? And you don't actually have somebody's attention captured, but you lose so much. It's like 93% of human communication is nonverbal. So when you're only communicating in a text format, it's only, even if you're throwing all kinds of emojis and stuff like that on it, it's only like 7%, because you're losing the facial expressions, the body language, and the tone as well. And so I've always kind of just trended towards that. But again, that was understanding that aspect of it. And also too, just with my background, being very comfortable doing the face-to-face thing. So no,
anybody who's ever gotten in trouble with their wife from a text where the tone didn't translate, understand how important tone and why the face-to-face is so much more effective than the messenger.
Yeah. I my oldest brother, he works in auto finance, and, he's very transactional. When he's dealing on the phone, when I text him during the day, particularly in his work mode, and I always just give him hell. I'm like, dude, you're like dad. You're just like zero tone. You put like periods at the end of short messages, which just make it seem like super hostile and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I'm like, dude, you're in your 40s and you act like you're 70 with the texting. But no, and I think that's a huge thing. And so let's maybe talk a little bit about how you do that in your email structures and how you kind of overcome, like, in terms of, I know we've got some folks that do email marketing, but I think the copy themes roll over from email to like your Facebook posts and stuff like that. So you want to share a couple of kind of the things that you've learned over the years that have made it really effective.
Yeah. So if I'm just talking, like, if we can just speak about just like email sequence. So let's just consider like a warming up sequence or whatever you want to call it. Basically, someone opts into your to see your webinar or to get your lead magnet or whatever for the first time, whether it's cold traffic or semi-warm traffic from like a YouTube or a TikTok or wherever you're getting your traffic from. Basically the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to introduce myself, right? Like, get to know me. Use pictures.
You'll be a person. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. You know what I mean? And I'm not selling anything other than myself. And I'm not saying I'm super smart. I'm just here. Hey, this is me. You know what I mean? And really that translates to benefits in a lot of different ways, especially when you're running, if you get to the point where you're running cold traffic paid ads. Like, you want people to decide pretty quickly whether they like you or not, because if they're not going to like you down the road, no sense wasting your ad dollars on them right away. So you kind of just want to introduce yourself and like, hey, this is what I'm all about. The second phase, I guess, will be like, what do you need? You know what I mean? And still really not providing any massive value or definitely not selling anything, just like kind of what do you need? And what that has allowed me to do, and this is kind of a newer strategy that I'm using, newer, like in the last year and a half or so, where that helps me get responses to learn what those objections are going to be. Because once again, we're trying to automate the process. So we're not trying to sell to everybody, but we're trying to sell to the people who are going to buy. So it's like when someone responds and says, hey, here's my issue. I've seen your stuff, but I'll be honest, I don't really know what affiliate marketing is. Okay. If one person takes the time to send me that email, that means 30 are thinking it, or 50 are thinking it, or 1,000 are thinking it, or whatever. So that's kind of phase 2. And that's how I really get the content for my follow-up emails.
It's like market research, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just really pretty much do 2 things after that. And there's no right or wrong way, or it's not like you have to do this first or this second. But basically after that, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to show as much social proof as possible. And I'm going to send webinars, basically. And I say webinars, they don't have to be like super polished, like took me 6 months to write this webinar. Just basically a training that makes an offer, right? A training that gives value. We could talk for hours about webinar structure, which there's plenty of books out there for it. Expert Secrets, which I always keep close at hand. Excellent book on so many levels. This is one of my favorite marketing books. But that teaches webinar stuff. But the bottom line is I'm trying to provide as much value, but also, I mean, at some point you got to make an offer, and that's really just part of it. And then we just combination of more social proof and more webinars that provide value and make offers, and that's pretty much it. And then down the road I might toss in some other relevant products or stuff like that. But the main key is just getting people to believe in themselves. It's kind of the whole goal. Like, I think if you've ever watched Frank Kern, man, every time I watch Frank Kern, I think probably most people know who Frank Kern is, hopefully. Every time I watch Frank Kern, I'm like, yeah, I want to buy this. And I kind of, after years, I was like, what's he doing? And basically he's just making it seem so freaking easy that anybody can do it. Right. Yeah. And I think it like gives you the confidence, like, I can do this. And I think that's kind of the whole key to marketing and selling, especially when you're doing it as an automated system.
Yeah, no, the self-belief is powerful and kind of helping to overcome some of those limiting beliefs and like money blocks, honestly, is a lot of it. So no, that's cool, man. So hey guys, if you got questions, we'll jump into a little bit of Q&A. So just drop your questions in the chat and we'll get it going here in a little bit. And so one thing, man, I want to say is, how do you kind of view, so I view it as, I know you're big in it and it's been successful for you, that like this add value. In my mind, I know if I really believe in the programs and offers that I have, and I really genuinely think that it can benefit this person, the most value I can provide them is for them to invest into the program. So how do you kind of view the balance of what type of value you're adding into it? I know some people are like, just give them the farm and give them 90% of it, and then they'll give you money for being so grateful. Some people are like, teach them what to do, not how to do it, all that kind of stuff. So where do you fall on that continuum of value providing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm probably honestly more in the camp of, hey, let's give 90% away for free. They'll buy it for the other 10%, to be quite honest with you. I'm not saying that's necessarily the best way. It's just kind of like where I feel more comfortable. But it's kind of a two-prong approach. That does get people to the point where they feel confident that they can invest then. And of course, like, it's not to say I don't push people to invest. Like if they're hitting me up on Messenger, 14 times, I'm like, hey, listen, let's be honest. I think maybe it's time for you to invest. I'm happy to supplement. I'm not going anywhere, but really you need structure. You know what I mean? And I'm happy to push people towards investing. But I kind of look at it as everyone says long term, but I look at it more along the lines of, it's not if people are going to buy, it's just when they're going to buy from you. And if that's 6 months from now, great. You mentioned I did a group coaching this year, and I did 3 group coaching sessions this year that were 3 weeks each. I think it was May, April, and or March, April, and May, or something like that, or April, May, and June. But anyways, I did them for 3 weeks each, and I did 3 group coaching sessions. That was kind of my last selling. I had closed all my courses. I was like, okay, if anybody wants, I'm gonna do 3 group coaching sessions, join one. And there's people who are like, man, I've been following you for 2 years. I've been on your list, opening all your emails for 18 months. I've never bought anything, but here I am. They just gave me $350. You know what I mean? Like, that's a pretty good deal. You know what I mean? So it's not It doesn't really cost a whole lot to keep people on your email list, as long as they're opening their emails, of course. So yeah, I'm more of a let's give it away and see what happens here. But I'm also trying to get outside my comfort zone a little bit. And for instance, it's funny, you mentioned this earlier, and I made a note. I wrote down story when you were talking. I don't know if that was in the previous live stream that I jumped in on, or if it was at the beginning of this one. To be honest with you, I don't remember. But that's the most recent course I bought on story-based selling.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm trying to get more to the point where it's like, okay, I can really weave that in and intertwine that into my brand. That way I can sell more. That way I can scale. That way, no margin, no mission. And that way I can buy more ads so I can really impact more people and grow. And it's all part of it. There's no like, hey, you only do content. It's a big old, let's do everything we can to the best of our ability type deal.
Yeah, no, I think, and so kind of to that, it being like this all encompassing thing. So really there's, I guess for you, there's, the marketing, the sales, the ops, and the delivery. Let's talk a little bit about like your workflow on an average day, if you don't mind sharing, Brian.
Yeah. I mean, it's changed quite a bit since I went back to, full-time affiliate marketing. You know what I mean? So now, it's more, hey, let's leverage the sales processes of the affiliate partner, right? Let's leverage anything we can get from them, whether that's training or what have you. You know what I mean? So that's really kind of changed for me recently. That's kind of where I'm at right now, and that's kind of why I went back to the full-time affiliate marketing model, which I think is interesting because you can go to a full-time affiliate marketing model and make a really nice income doing it. But that, that's kind of the benefits of that is, hey, listen, I'm content creation. I like to do that in the first half of my day. There's obviously, live streams and stuff, which I like to generally do between 11 and 1 Central Time, and that works out pretty well for me. And then, I'll finish off and there's always like following up with people and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's really what I've simplified it down to these days, to be honest with you. But that's only because, once again, I went back to full-time affiliate marketing.
Yeah. And because you narrowed your focus to enhance the greater
yeah. And I want to talk on that really quickly because just a moment ago I said, it's kind of like how I'm focusing on so many things, but I don't want like beginners to think, hey, I've got to do all these things to be successful. You don't have to be. It's just like one traffic source to one conversion cycle to promote one offer, right? Like that's the formula for getting started. Like if you're going to go on here and do Facebook Lives every day to a phone call to sell one offer, that's the formula for initial success. That's how you hit your first 6 figures, or that's how you hit your first $10,000 a month is one source to one conversion system to one offer.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was, for me, it was, in my first starting doing organic traffic in particular, it was just super simple. I did like 4 things each day and and at the end of 30 days, I'd made $11,000 doing those 4 things just repeatedly. And part of it was because I was like you, it was like, yo, I can only do this for like an hour or 2 a day because I'm working, and then a couple more hours on the weekend. But it's like, what are going to be the 20% of things I can do that are going to get me the 80% of results kind of thing. So no, I think that, because I think that, one, you come in, people, I think also to overestimate their ability to dial in and actually focus and be effective, especially, we talked about the whole social media and people, unfortunately, all of us, even you and I included on this call, like playing on our phones all the time and stuff like that. So we're so easily distracted. There's so many, and then there's even more noise being in this make money online space, because let's be honest, there's always new products coming out, and hey, people are effective marketers. So it's like,
well, that's the thing, you have to get, if you're going to be at the top of this game, you got to be like the best of the best. So guess what? The people at the top of this game, they're really, really good at what they do. We've already talked about Frank Kern.
They're very persuasive.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Persuasive people. So I think that it's like, you're right in that. And I know everyone always, like every course that you ever buy, they're like, block out narrow your focus, stop buying courses and all this kind of stuff. And it's hard to do that for a lot of people. But I also too think that a lot of people do it because they don't genuinely commit. They're looking for that. They don't have that delayed gratification kind of mindset and stuff like that. So no, I mean, I think a lot of the themes that you have talked about here in the different stories that you've shared, it's, a bit of strategic thinking, a bit of delayed gratification, and then also too, like self-belief in that, like, hey, I'm going to like take this next step. Or even, you talked about the Shopify thing. It had been very lucrative for you, but you knew it wasn't what you wanted to do. So you pivoted out of it.
Yeah, you got to enjoy the process. And I mean, even if you're trying to make your first dollar, just know that like that process is always going to be the same. It's just going to be different numbers. Like if you're trying to make your first dollar, you're going to feel the same frustration now that I'm feeling now, because last week I had a $10,000 week and this week I'm sitting at $5,000. It's like, well, what's different? You know what I mean? So like, obviously I'm blessed and I'm happy and I'm in a great place and I love what I'm doing. But it's like, you're always going to have those frustrations of like, oh, I can't get up to the next level. And it's always going to be there. So you may as well learn to enjoy the process. And there's nothing better than that first commission, man. It's like the coolest thing on earth. I'll never forget mine, and you'll never get that feeling again. So enjoy the process.
So if you just, and we'll wrap it up here in a second, but thank you so much for being gracious with your time, Brian, again. And so let's just talk a little bit about what you do to keep, because it's let's be honest, it's sales, right? Mm-hmm. And most sales people and jobs, they're super incentive laced contracts. They're stressed the hell out. Every month you got to start back over at zero. It can be this huge roller coaster if you allow it to be. What things over the years have you developed for yourself to keep you like grounded and anchored, and you obviously quite calm, because you seem like a pretty calm guy?
Yeah. I have my moments like we all do, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, I think really like having that long-term vision. I know we've really harped on it, but man, that just like keeps you focused and keeps you grounded. It's like, you don't get so, you don't get so wrapped up in the emotional swings of things when it's like, okay, what are we really trying to do here? The other thing that's really helpful for me is to continue to increase my goals, like raise the bar. You know what I mean? Like I find that when I am kind of in like my comfort zone, it's like, yeah, I'm at my goal now. And that's when kind of things start falling apart. And that's kind of when I get like, just like frustrated with the process, right? You have to keep yourself motivated. And the way you keep yourself motivated is kind of just like achieving those goals. And it's just practice too. Just like everything else. It's like, go manage a restaurant for 12 years. You'll have 2 kids. You know what I mean? Like everything else will seem pretty, not so difficult. You know what I mean? And that's not to say it's not hard or it's not challenging or it's not confusing. Like I still have my struggles every single day. I'm trying to scale with paid advertising now. And I don't even want to know how much money I'm losing today, but you know what? I've had my good days too. And so it's just, it's just like, it's always a challenge. But yeah, those things, I mean, it's just practice and long-term goals and just trying to enjoy the process. And that's all you can do. And I started doing a lot more of these conversations like with you today. And, this is cool too. Like this kind of breaks it up. And this, for me, like this is stress-free content. Like I just show up and answer questions and talk to you and I don't have to do anything. You know what I mean? So it's just, you got to find ways to make it enjoyable. And I know, I'm fully aware of, my situation is different than someone who's just getting started, but you just got to find, your happiness in the moment and understand that it's not always going to be fun. Sometimes it sucks. I mean, it's just fact.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And so, no, man, I really do appreciate you jumping on, Brian, and for sharing so much of your expertise. It's been awesome talking to you. Like I said, I've been, kind of following you ever since those initial YouTube searches that I did. What do you want to share with the folks of where some of the different platforms that they can find you on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a Facebook group that I'm pretty active in right now. That's kind of a new development for me, but I think there's 2,700 members in there right now. It's just affiliate marketing and passive income with Brian Brewer. If you search that, you're probably gonna find that group. If you can, I'm not doing a very good job. I do have a couple YouTube channels. I have the Madcam Publishing channel, which is kind of the initial channel, and I still post on there. Most of that is just affiliate marketing content now. I'm pretty active with the Becoming Legendary channel, which is a channel that I created just to document my process of starting from zero and promoting the Legendary Marketer program. And it's really cool. There's a video on there, and it's about 7 months ago. And if you look through the videos on there, it'll become pretty apparent which way you got to go. But once again, it's the Becoming Legendary channel. And it's really cool because 7 months ago, I laid out a plan. I was basically at $183 a month with the Legendary Marketer program. I had some back sales that was from my existing list, but basically starting from scratch, it was at $183 a month. And I was like, here's what I'm going to do. And in that video, I laid out the 3 or 4 or 5 step plan, and then I implemented it. And then 7 months later, I made a follow-up video where I'd hit my $10,000 per month goal. I'm doing that. And so that's really cool. It's just a lot of transparency there. And I'm around. Just, Brian Brewer, find me and reach out to me. You can always send me an email or reach out. I'm happy to chat. So.
And I love it, dude. Even in your parting message, a lesson for everybody to document the journey from the start and be transparent with what it is, and don't just sell the dream. Share a little bit of the nightmare as well. So, hey, Brian, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it, bud.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate
thank you for contributing to the community, and thanks everybody for jumping on, and everybody watching the replay. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.